Welcome to the Elliott School of International Affairs here at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. I'm James Foster, Vice Dean of the Elliott School and moderator of today's conversation with our amazing guest, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, who will present Poverty, Climate, and Unemployment Towards a World of Three Zeros. It's great to see you again, Dr. Yunus, and thank you for taking time. Thank you. Thank you for taking your time to bring your inspiring message to our students and to our global audience. In just a second, I'll ask my colleague, Dr. Alyssa Ayres, Dean of the Elliott School, to come forward for introductory remarks. But first, I'll take a brief moment to introduce our school and thank the sponsors of today's event. The Elliott School of International Affairs is located in the heart of America's capital, just steps away from the White House, the World Bank, the IMF, and the State Department. Internship possibilities are endless for our students, both locally and abroad. For example, our Grameen internship program provides students a firsthand look at how colleagues in Bangladesh tackle challenges, offering insights into how we can solve ours. Elliott's undergraduate and graduate programs train the next generations of leaders in international affairs, while its overarching Leadership, Ethics, and Practice, or LEAP initiative, embeds ethics at the school's core. Our research institutes span the continents and the world of ideas in international affairs. And while many at Elliott have helped to produce today's event, I want to especially thank the Institute for International Economic Policy at the Elliott School, its director, Jay Shambaugh, and manager, Carl Jr., and the many students who were involved in the Institute for housing the seminar. Today's event kicks off this year's Facing Inequality webinar series at the Institute, but it could just as well have been part of IIEP's Rethinking Capitalism and Democracy series, or its Multidimensional Poverty series. Dr. Yunus's work spans many of the central themes in today's international economic environment. We want to thank the event co-sponsors, the Elliott School of International Development Studies Program, the LEAP Initiative, its Gender Inequality Initiative in International Affairs, the Seeger Center for Asian Study, the Department of Economics through its Trade and Development Seminar, and of course, the Global Yunus Center. Many thanks to all, and especially to our great friend and GW alumnus, Chris Fussner, who made this all possible. Now, without further ado, let me ask Dean Ayres to step forward to the virtual dais to formally welcome our honored guest. Dean Ayres.
Thank you so much, and good morning to those here at the Elliott School and in the United States, and a good evening to those in Dhaka. We're going to have a wonderful discussion this morning, and it is a tremendous honor to be able to welcome back Professor Muhammad Yunus to the Elliott School. Professor Yunus is truly someone who has changed the world through the power of his ideas. Trained as an economist, including here in the United States, he returned to Bangladesh and began the Grameen Bank, which pioneered the idea of microcredit, small loans without requiring collateral. The concept of microcredit has shifted the way the world thinks about the poor as actors in their own entrepreneurial initiatives, with a little financing able to lift themselves out of poverty. Grameen Bank's more than 9 million members in Bangladesh covers more than 90% of Bangladeshi villages, and its borrowers are nearly entirely women. Grameen Bank has inspired similar initiatives around the world, and in 2006, Professor Yunus and the Grameen Bank received the Nobel Peace Prize for their work in creating economic and social development from below. Now, Professor Yunus has also founded related businesses. He's created and championed the concept of social business. He's written 4 books, all of which address microcredit, microlending, and social business. First, Banker to the Poor in 2003, A World Without Poverty, Social Business and the Future of Capitalism in 2008, Building Social Business in 2010, and most recently, A World of Three Zeros in 2017. Professor Yunus has received many other awards, including the George Washington University Presidential Medal in 2016, as well as the most distinguished U.S. civilian awards, the Presidential Citizens Medal, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the Congressional Gold Medal. I actually had the opportunity during my time serving in government to be present in the audience for the ceremony in which Professor Yunus received the Congressional Gold Medal, the Capitol Rotunda, and it was a very moving occasion. It was a testament to all that he has done to address poverty and the global impact that he has had around the world. At the Elliott School, we want to make sure students have the opportunity to learn more about the importance of microcredit in the Grameen Bank. And so we are so pleased to be able to partner on the Grameen Bank and Trust Student Internship Program. Our heartfelt thanks go to Chris Fussner for his support over the many years in making this internship program possible, and to Dr. Jane Ayres for her continued leadership of the program. And I also want to thank as well Professor James Foster, Vice Dean of the Elliott School, and the Oliver T. Carr Jr. Professor of International Affairs and Economics. He was until recently the co-director of the Institute for International Economic Policy. His own work has focused on measuring and addressing poverty, and he has known Professor Yunus for many years, going back to their time at Vanderbilt University. So we are all excited to welcome Professor Yunus to the Elliott School here this morning and to engage him on questions of poverty, climate change, and unemployment. Thank you, Professor Yunus, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts today.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you to get me in again and with the George Washington University. It's my home. I've been visiting many times, and I'm very happy the internship that you offer. And so it's like being in the family together again, sharing our experiences, particularly the pandemic experiences, because this kind of pushed us on the screen now. This is a new experience that we got used to because of the problem that we have during the pandemic period of meeting other people. So that facilitates us now to get to be with each other. So I'm very happy that I can share our experiences and our thoughts during this period. What is it that transpired in our minds as we face this pandemic? First, when it came in Bangladesh in March last year, we were shocked that it came so quickly, because we're just talking about what's happening in China, Wuhan, and so on. We thought this would take a long time to get here. It just got in right away. And then it got away everywhere. It's almost instantaneous expansion of the whole thing. It's before we realize what is happening. And we were hoping at that time when it came, as it is spreading country after country, seeing reactions from countries, first panic, then trying to organize themselves in some way. One thing struck me, I'm just sharing my responses, how I saw it as it came. My first thought was, all the time that we are talking about the multilateralism, that we have achieved multilateralism, we work together, we do things together. And along with our whole idea of world becoming a global village, we're so close to each other. Technology made us come in touch with each other. So we know each other so well because of the technology, because of the globalization of businesses and everything that we have. But the moment pandemic came, all these myths disappear. Multilateralism was thrown in the wind. There was no multilateralism. There was no global village. All we saw, isolated islands. Everybody, all islands are busy to take care of their own tribes. Don't care what's happening to the neighboring island. That as distant as in outer space, it's not here. All the institutions, global institutions, which are supposed to be supported and put in action, were attacked. Particularly WHO was attacked vehemently by the President of the United States. This was a platform that we had so that we could fight together globally, the pandemic. They wanted to investigate WHO rather than support, withdrew money from WHO rather than put more money into it. So everything was in a reverse gear. So it fits into the whole picture. And it continued. It's not just a one-shot thing. We saw how many people lost their jobs in every place around the world. They lost their livelihood because of the economy came into stalling the whole economy. And we were wondering what's happening to the world. Is it going to survive with all these people coming home from the cities? You saw the Indian scenario where everywhere it happened, but Indian scenario came in very vividly because of the television and so on. Millions of people walking back home, walking miles, not just 50 miles, not just 100 miles, 500 miles and more, going on the way. They don't know when they will reach home because there is no way they can stay in the city because the job is gone, income is gone. They cannot pay the rent, they cannot buy food. So only place they could see where to go, where they're from. And they had to come miles and miles, hundreds of miles away to find their survival livelihood, and that's livelihood went. So I was saying that what a terrible economic structure we built. We could not find the economic system where people could have a survival livelihood right where they are born, rather than go hundreds of miles away, leaving their dear ones, near ones at home, their children at home, and living in slums in this situation of destitution and so on, uncertainties of our life. And that revealed very clearly. So the pandemic revealed lots of things for us. One is our selfishness, forget about the world, let's do it our own way, and those kind of things. And it continued that. And during the middle of last year, I started the campaigning on one issue. There are many other issues, but I started campaigning very vigorously, collecting signatures and so on, because we're talking about the vaccines. When the vaccine talk began, I wanted to make sure that vaccine become a public good, it's a common good, so that there is no patent right over it. This is the campaign they started. And we got lots of signatures, lots of campaigning, and it never stopped. Because when the vaccine finally came at the end of the year, we saw people are busy using vaccines. The lucky countries using the vaccines, still the unlucky countries never saw the vaccines. Today, we are in September. We have produced about 5 billion dosages of vaccines, and 75% of the vaccines were used in the lucky 10 countries. 75% of the total production so far used in only lucky 10 countries. And those lucky 10 countries, they were hoarding. They couldn't care less what happened to other countries. They were hoarding. Now they are going into third phase, dose number 3, where dose number 1 is not available. Germany is a good case. I'll come back to Germany repeatedly. Germany had focused on their own people, just like any other nation they did. G7 countries wanted to make sure their vaccines are insured and they had the excess vaccines available to them. They did. Today, number of people vaccinated in Germany exceeds the number of people in 101 countries vaccinated, total. So one country versus 101 countries. So this is the kind of ratio that we see emerging in the process. The lucky 10 countries are the one, as I said, 75% of the total production is in there. And today, if you take the whole Africa continent, not even 2% of the people, entire continent, 2% of the people vaccinated. Why? Because of the campaign that I was making. I was saying that it should be made patent-free so that it could be produced everywhere. Nobody listened to that because they want to stick to their thing. So I said that this is the way I try to explain people that we have the knowledge right now. By the end of last year, we have this knowledge how to protect people from the pandemic so that the death doesn't hit them. So that knowledge is available to the world. But that knowledge is not shared. That knowledge is put by heavy walls around it, walls of profit, so that some people can make excessive profit from that, and it cannot go outside of that wall. All we are saying that for this occasion, to save people globally, millions, even billions of people, to protect them from the pandemic, remove this wall, share this knowledge. Just sharing knowledge, we are not give us the free vaccine. That's not the plea. We're simply saying, allow this knowledge to be available to anybody, anywhere, so that everybody can produce it. There's a tremendous amount of capacity to produce it, including Bangladesh. We could produce that. India has tremendous capacity. Africa has capacity. Everybody has capacity. Simply remove that barrier, that it is available to anybody who wants it. So that has not happened. Well, USA has agreed. Biden announced that they will support the trip waiver. All other countries done that. France has done that. Germany is the sticking point now. If Germany still doesn't want to do that, so this has to be in the trip council. It has to be unanimous decision. So if one country stops, it doesn't get through. So Germany is still holding on to it. The last appeal that we made to the 3 candidates of the chancellorship in Germany in the election that is coming. So we appeal to them. So you announce that when you get elected, you will announce that you will be supporting the trip waiver so that it's available to everybody, because you are holding on to the millions and billions of people's life because you want to make money. That's as simple as that. So profit became the key issue outcome of the whole pandemic. So you saw how ugly the system we have is a kind of classic example of how selfish human being can be. You can throw the lives of many millions of people just because you want to have profit. During the same period of 1 year, less than 1 year now, 9 billionaires are created within the 5 vaccine companies. 9 billionaires are created. And the stock market prices for many companies doubled during the period. They're enjoying it, but they're doing it this way. So this is what, again, the life versus profit. I keep saying that people are drowning and dying through drowning. Some people have boats and coming around selling it to say, if you give, we let you come into the boat, provided you are the highest bidder. So you can die, that's up to you, but we are not going to give you the space. There's plenty of space on the boat, but they will not give it until you are the highest bidder. So this is the scenario that we have into the picture. Then during the pandemic, I was raising one more important issue for myself and sharing with everybody else, because there's again, while we are moving in isolation, in a kind of island type of thinking that we protect ourselves. We talked about also vaccine apartheid, that we protect ourselves, forget about everybody else. Here, that we saw many nations, all nations almost, getting ready for going back to the pre-pandemic economy. So that pre-pandemic economy has stopped. Now we have to go back to the pre-pandemic economy. So they are mobilizing what they call the bailout packages. Some countries have billions of dollars mobilized for bailout packages so that you can move up, rush into the situation where you can restart the engine to go back to the pre-pandemic situation. Some even trillions of dollars mobilized to push into the economy so that they can go back to that pre-pandemic situation. So I was screaming right from the middle of last year. My position was, please don't go back. That's the most dangerous thing to do. I keep saying no going back should be our decision right now, because the world that we are coming from, pre-pandemic world, is a terrible world. Pandemic has given us an opportunity. Let's take this opportunity to go some other direction. This direction is a wrong direction. This is a suicidal direction that we are in. So I had to explain why I call them suicidal direction that we are pre-pandemic situation. I said, look, we are rushing to the global warming. Now IPCC report just came out, you saw that. Gave us only 20 years to get to the 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature. And in the context of the global time, 20 years is like few minutes. In few minutes, we will be arriving at this red zone. So we'll be entering the red zone the moment we get to the 1.5 degrees Celsius. They have concrete evidences, scientific proofs that it will be within 20 years, either it will be 1.5 degrees Celsius or more by that time. So I said, we are in a burning house, is burning faster and faster, more and more. But inside the house, we are having party, celebrating about our glorious economy, about our technological achievements and everything. We forget that our house is turning to ash very soon, but we don't care because we are so much involved in making money and enjoying it that we don't care whether the house is burning or not. So we are in the direction, we said pre-pandemic train that we are riding, a fast train we are riding in the pre-pandemic. That train was going to the last station very soon. And the last station maybe within 20 years that the IPCC report says. And then we become the most endangered species on this planet. Human being become the most endangered species on this planet. We couldn't care less. And while our children are walking in the street, marching on the street, blaming their parents, you have stolen our future. We have no future left. Nobody cares. So this is the direction that our economy is moving, because all this global warming is because of the economy that we created, profit maximizing economy that we created. That is leading us to that. And all the things that we are promising by 2050 will do such and such thing. 2050 is far, far away. By that time, we don't know where we'll be at that time. So this is the urgency part is completely missing in everything. So that's one part. Second part is again as dangerous as the global warming. This is a wealth concentration. All the wealth of the world is concentrated in few hands. 99% of the wealth is concentrated in the hands of 1% of the population of the entire world. It's not only a global phenomenon. Country by country you can go, including United States. How much of the wealth is held by how many people? And if you look at the income scale, you can see very vividly, without any debate, without any controversy, bulk of the population, 90, 95, 99% of the population at the end of the income scale, at the lower end of the income scale, they don't have the wealth. They have only 1%, 2% of the wealth at the bottom. 99% people, 1% wealth. And then you go up in the income scale in the kind of outer space, you see few people holding on to 99% of the wealth. So there's a big gap between the people and the wealth. I said this, and that gap, that distance between the people and the wealth at every nanosecond is increasing. And that's the speed in which our train was running. I said, stop the train. We cannot go in that train anymore because it's an explosive situation, dangerous situation that we are creating for ourselves. So I said the real economy should be where people and wealth should be living together. It should not be separated out. People in one direction, in the bottom, and wealth in the other direction, in the outer space. That's the most dangerous thing to happen. So that world we don't want to go back to. That's number two. Number three is a massive unemployment being predicted by the artificial intelligence coming. And there are projections made, some making projections in 15 years' time, there will be 500 million people will be out of job, all kinds of jobs. And in the next 15 years, probably almost all jobs will be done, finished. But the artificial intelligence will take away our jobs, that's for sure. And that's what happens to human being if all the activities of human being are taken by artificial intelligence. I keep saying that human being will be turned into garbage on this planet. Human being has no use for anybody. So I said, that's not the kind of world that we want to live. So that is the world that we want to go back to. I said, no going back. We don't want to go back to that world. We want to go in another direction, not in the direction of our suicidal path. We want to go into a path where we'll get rid of all these things. So that's the direction, that's the destination that I define by saying we will create a world of 3 zeros. That's the book about that you mentioned, that the 3 zeros. We create a world of 3 zeros. Zero carbon emission to end global warming. It's possible. It's a very simple thing. It's just to make a decision. If you just get rid of the fossil fuel, 86% of the global warming is over. Just one thing, fossil fuel. But we cling to it. Banks are pouring into that industry. Government is giving subsidy to that industry. It's still there. We're talking about it, but still it goes on. And only recently, probably last week or year before last, Harvard University finally decided $42 billion they invest in the fossil fuel, they will withdraw that. It took so much energy to persuade those decision makers in Harvard University, top university of the world. So this is the kind of audacity that we have. We don't care less about the people and the life and the planet and so on. I said, we don't want to have that kind of life and that kind of economic thinking in our life. We want to create something else. I said, we don't want to go back to the old world. If you go back to the old world with the old roads, that we know where we end up. So we need a new world with the new roads. So we have to build new roads to go to the new world, new destination with 3 zeros, zero net carbon emission, to end global warming, zero wealth concentration, to end poverty once for all, and zero unemployment by unleashing the power of entrepreneurship. So we should be discovering ourselves as entrepreneurs, not as slaves, like job seekers. As a job is a new name of slavery. We shouldn't be looking for jobs, but the entire economy is created, economic thinking is created, human being has to have jobs. I said, we never did any job. That's not our history. In our millions of years of history on this planet, we were not looking for jobs. We were hunters and gatherers, cave dwellers, we did our own thing. But suddenly in the fringe part of life, somebody says, no, we have to work for somebody else. That was the end of it. I said, we have to rediscover ourselves, that we are born as an entrepreneur. And that's where the finance comes. And that's what the story of Grameen Bank and all those things. Finance is the oxygen of entrepreneurship. So we have to redesign the entire financial system to make sure everybody has access to financial system and they can turn into entrepreneurs. Every young person in the school, in college, they know the money is waiting for them. All they have to do is to make up a mind to start a business. Today, that's not the case. You go to the best school in the world, still bank will not finance you if you want to be an entrepreneur. So who are you to come to get it? You have no history of your business or something. So no way. So all the entrepreneurs have to become slaves and work for somebody else. So this is the direction that we are in. So to conclude, I would say this is a no going back. We turn ourselves into a new direction. We design the entire economic thinking and create a world of 3 zeros. That's what our direction should be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yunus, for your inspirational and actually quite dark presentation. It's unusually dark for you. I've never had you give a talk that is quite this negative. And I think it sounds extremely justified. I'm very curious. In your book, you go on to talk about the possibilities of how this can be turned around through creating new economic system that's based not on the selfishness that you so clearly described in the allocation of vaccines, but instead on selfishness and collective, a sense of the collective, of people around you, and what you can do to help others. Can you just talk a little bit about that side of things? How can we move forward to see this new world that economists have tended to ignore because we focus on the selfish person? How do we get on beyond that paradigm to your world in the future?
I've mentioned that as a simple proposition for economists to do. Economics started with the premise that all human beings are driven by self-interest. So they build a whole edifice of economic structure based on that human being who is looking for self-interest, selfish interest. So selfish interest is represented by profit maximization. So everything is designed for profit maximization because they assume so. I said they made a mistake. They misinterpreted real human being. Real human beings are not selfish beings. If real human beings were selfish human beings, we will not have all those foundations, all those charities, all those trillions of dollars right now. Even in the United States, which is at the peak of profit maximization. And that's the country gives trillions of dollars in charity. Because you misinterpreted. Despite what you said a human being is, they still do it. Define you. Define all the brainwashing that you have done over years to your education system that you are supposed to be profit maximizer. Still the people go and donate by defying it. So why don't you admit that human beings are driven by self-interest? Human beings are also, it's underlying, also driven by collective interest. Economics doesn't have collective interest. And that's how we create all this. When I gave the example of pandemic, is a very good example. When chips are down, suddenly we found out we are selfish beings. We forgot about the collective thing because that's our mind was been trained not to be collective. We want to make profit. So we became isolated, protecting ourselves. And when vaccine came, we looked for money in the vaccine, not to life. You see, because our mind has been trained. If we said that no, our first priority here, share the knowledge. We're not saying give free vaccine to everybody. Simply this, you have the world has knowledge how to protect people, share the knowledge, keep it open so that everybody can use it and protect themselves. And that's it. But no, if everybody produces it, then we're going to have profit. So that's a simple thing. So I said, this is the key. And that's why you have to change the whole thing that we teach in our school. Education is the key. We are destroying our mind, polluting our mind, contaminating our mind by telling our students that this is the way to live life, make money. Money is the key for your life. So that's where all the thing is in the education system. The seed is planted in the education system. Even education system, we have told them, look, you are an entrepreneur. You're not a job seeker. Human beings are entrepreneurs. Get ready to be entrepreneurs. And that's what we did when we created microcredit. What did we do? We're not creating jobs. We are letting people become entrepreneurs. The most illiterate human being, the poorest women in the remotest village were told that if you need money, we'll give you the money if you want to start a business. And she dared to take $5 loan, $10 loan, $15 loan. That's her starting point. Not to get a job, just to become an entrepreneur. Today, millions and millions of women all around the world show how entrepreneurial they are. If illiterate women in remote village can become entrepreneur, shame on the education system, which teaches everybody to become job seekers. That's the only message they have for the young people. Brilliant young people have to become job seekers. And we created a whole financial system for the people who will be working for somebody else so that they can have all the money employed. See, when a company comes and says, he'll create so many jobs, as if that's big. Nobody says he created so many entrepreneurs. That's not in the lingo. Why? Because our teachers taught us. That's not the language. Language is how much job you have created, not how many entrepreneurs you created. Universities are not interested in creating entrepreneurs because they say, we are producing job-ready young people. See, that's what job-ready young people. And our kids get their job as soon as the convocation is over and you get a job. Or you attend the convocation with an appointment letter in your pocket. See, what a glory. We destroyed the human mind to turn them into slavery, back into slavery, where the human being is a creative being. Job is the end of creativity. We don't say that. The moment you accept the job, you have taken the vow that you will not use your brain anymore because you will be running yourself by directions. Whatever you are directed, that's what, if you violate any direction, you are fired. And that's the kind of job you're doing. Human beings packed with unlimited creative power. That's what the entrepreneurship is all about. So this is where I was trying to focus on.
Thank you. Yes, I'll stop if before we continue our discussion. For those in the audience, now's the time to formulate questions and submit them in the Q&A function below. I want to go on just with one other question, if you don't mind. I see the notion of trust as being such a central part of Grameen and the world that you're envisioning. And yet at this time, at least in this country, and I think around the world, trust is at an all-time low, particularly in institutions. How can this trust deficit be overcome? Is it purely through education? How can that happen? So I just want to explore that with you for a second, and then we'll move on to the Q&A.
Well, again, come back to US, because that's an example where you don't trust, you bring your lawyers into everything. In many other countries, still some semblance of trust is there, but not in the US. Everything has to be written, everything has to be notarized and everything else. There we run a program called Gramin America. We have 140,000 women borrowers in that system. We work in 25 cities in the United States. And when the pandemic came, the repayment went down because we could not get to them, because our whole system runs with personal contact. And we go to them, because one of the things that I said by defining microcredit, we said where people don't go to the bank go to the people. That's essential feature of microcredit. Now, with all these 25 cities that we work, we cannot go to all those branches that we have in those because of the pandemic and lockdown and everything else. So what we did, we brought the same technology now we are using now. We just brought the Zoom. They have their center meeting, the group meetings and so on the Zoom, back in business. Our branch managers don't go to visit anybody, which is part of their job to visit. They just talk to each other on the screen. When a new group is formed, usually you go through screening, you visit the house, you talk to the family members, everybody get to know each other. This is knowing each other is the most important thing. We still do that, but by Zoom. We don't leave our place. So we can attend some 1,000 center meetings within the United States in Zoom. You could be one of them. You can just say that, am I allowed to attend one of the center meetings? You can attend the center meeting because it's in the Zoom. You'll be their guest. They will be talking to you. So their repayment went up. They hit the punchline, was $2 billion of loans they have disbursed so far, with nearly perfect repayment, near 100% repayment, 99.5% and above, with 140,000, all women, completely. And business carries on. Their business went down because of the pandemic. They found a way how to run the business, door-to-door service and so on, many other things during this period, because people need to eat, to do things. So they figured it out how to do that, their own thing. So we come back to this thing again with the technology coming in. You make the disbursement not by physically hand over anything, just by the cards, give you the money, you spend money in the same way, so on. So this is one example. It's right there in the United States. So you talked about the trust, and the trust is still there. But the physical contact and everything is there, only through technological support and so on. So it continues, and our work continues. We are not suffered in Bangladesh. Our microcredit programs all over Bangladesh continues, despite all the thing that goes on.
What an amazing thing, and it relates to your attempts, some of the earliest attempts in the world to create networks of people, of poor people, through your phone system that you imagined and made happen. So that has been a real transformation in the lives of the poor.
And not only the phone, now the digital health become important. So we have created a social business company, Digital Health. You get all the health services over the digital channels. Digital doctors answering your questions. You have a doctor on call. You call, you have a physical, just on the screen, talk to each other, and he or she prescribes you medicine. Medicine comes on the front door, you deliver, somebody deliver you online in your front door, that's it. And you make payments on the digital channel. So once you have the phones, technology and everything, internet, life is connected. Today, pandemic has shown that how we run our businesses, how we run our offices, sitting on our couch, talking and explaining and so on, everything is one. And more efficient, you don't spend your time in the traffic jam, hours and hours of traffic jam like in Dhaka. It takes 2.5 hours to get to our office and 2.5 hours to get home. Now this 5 hours is yours. You do whatever you want to do.
In Washington, D.C., we appreciate that indeed. I should mention that we have a wonderful set of questions from the audience, and for the most part, they have been congratulatory and thank you messages I should convey to you. But I'm a moderator and I must provide challenging questions to the speaker.
Of course.
So
yes.
Let me begin with two of them. One is Erica Wortham, who asked the question, said, thank you, and then went on to say, I'm not so hopeful that a focus on entrepreneurship solves the problem of inequity and access. Labor, social security, safety net still seems necessary, especially now. Can you say more about how we can prevent entrepreneurs from repeating failures of neoliberalism? And I'll continue with a related question from our very own Professor Jennifer Brinkerhoff, who says, wait a minute, isn't working for organizations also a form of collective action? So working for companies, working for corporations. Those questions to you, sir.
Well, last one about working for corporation. I mean, corporation is not a saint. So first question is, what kind of corporation? Is it a fossil fuel corporation? Is it a cigarette corporation? Is it an alcohol corporation? So it's see what is your corporation. And I'm not against corporation, I'm against what they do. So I'm suggesting if you're so bent on changing life of people, all the 3-0 you want to achieve, create social business because you want to serve the people. So instead of you maximize profit, you say we create a business not to make profit, not to make personal profit, but to solve people's problems, planet's problem. That's why we do the energy companies, solar energy, renewable energy companies, not to make money, but to save the planet. We create waste management companies so that the waste, we're not drowned in the waste. We make waste management companies. A company is a corporate, but not to make money, but to solve problem. We get our money back. That's just ensured, but we are not interested in personal profit. We are trying to protect the world. We want to protect our children, their future. That's where we want to not make money for myself and hand it over to him. In the meantime, destroy the planet. So that's where the social business idea comes. That's what we are promoting. And we say even microcredit. When the idea of microcredit was made popular, then many companies, many businesses came out to make money through microcredit. I said, shame on you. We created microcredit to help people get out of poverty, not to make money for themselves. We did it in a business way, in a social business way. We created Grameen Bank not to make myself as a bank owner, as a rich bank owner. I don't want a penny out of it. But we created it so that people benefit. We made the borrowers the owners of the bank, so that whatever profit made is returned to them as the dividend for the company and so on. So this is the social business aspect of it. So you mentioned about the entrepreneurship. If everybody becomes entrepreneur, what happens to labor laws and so on? Inequality of income, and that's one of the issues that you raised. Inequality. I said, suppose, just to give an example, and I'm promoting all human beings are entrepreneurs. Job is a wrong direction, is a misdirection of human being, is a total damaging of human being. It's the wrong purpose. It's the wrongly purposed human being. If you all become entrepreneurs, will there be wealth concentration? No. there'll be no wealth concentration. Wealth concentration takes place when we imagine fewer entrepreneurs, rest of us will be coming and serving them. That's the key to the wealth concentration, because I become the frontline soldier for him. So that I collect the money and hand it over to him. He pays me a little bit called salary. So I take the salary and wag my tail that I'm happy, and I hand it over to them. So they mobilize all the workforce, because that's what's supposed to do. They do job creation. And I take that job. That's what our economists suggest, that we take the job. And he becomes the super rich and rich because everything goes to him. If I thought I could be as good as entrepreneur as anybody else, I will not be working for him. If I don't work for him, you don't work for him, nobody works for him, there'll be no wealth concentration, because we are all entrepreneurs. And how do we work with each other? So if you need some other people to work. So we agree that we are entrepreneurs, but we also work in our own jobs, so that we share everything that comes out of it. That's it. So that's the direction. The more we'll have those entrepreneurship, as percentage of entrepreneurs become larger and larger, the lesser and lesser will the entrepreneurship and so on. So we are not kind of a hired gun for the entrepreneurs, rich entrepreneurs to, and all the financial institutions to boot are serving those entrepreneurs, so that once you're in the game, you make more money because banks give you more money, because you're the only guy in the block. So I give you the money, you become richer and richer, and you go to the super height in the outer space and so on. So this is what it does. So I said, entrepreneurship is the key to address the question of wealth concentration, because then we all become players in the game. And you are no superior than me, and I'm not superior to you. We do the business together, and we do share all the wealth ourselves. Even the poorest person, or the child of a poorest person, can become entrepreneur as much as the richest person, child of a richest person, can do, because the financial system is always standing behind it. The financial system is the key. Finance is the oxygen of entrepreneurship. That we have to remember all the time. But this financial system is wrongly designed. It only serves the rich. And the richer you are, you get the highest priority from the banking system. And the banking system has to be designed. You are poorest you are, you get the highest priority to get the finance, so that you can change your life. Because quality-wise, we are safe. Simply, institutions make all the differences. Our policies make all the differences. Our teaching makes all the differences. The way we put our young people to think that the only thing in his life, in her life, is to take a job and hope someday he or she will become a CEO of a company or chief of something and retire. That's a very narrow vision of human life.
So Kaushik Basu is in the audience and would like to ask you to clarify things just a bit, and you can be really short in this answer because it plays on some of these same themes. There are some economic activities that need coordinated work by lots of people, like producing a car. Conventional economics thinks of these people as laborers. Are you thinking of stopping this kind of work or redefining the nature of this work so that the same work is done by thousands of entrepreneurs instead of by laborers?
Yeah, why not? If all of us in the screen today, we are all entrepreneurs, but we want to start to produce something. So we have to negotiate with each other, because we need 5 people. Here are 5 people. We want to produce something. We need all 5 people. So we are owners, at the same time we are the workers. Because once you address that issue that we are the people on the planet, let's say it's an island economy. We are only 10 people on the island economy. So in that island economy, we are the owners. We own the island, and we have to work. And then we decide that we work together in this plot first, and the next plot second, and third plot. But we share it for ourselves. So once we redefine our concepts, we will come with a working procedure, how it has to be done.
So one of the themes in your book is measurement, and how important measurement is to be able to see the future and move toward to it. One of the questioners says, Quentin Wilson says, is a common framework available to measure the impact of such social undertakings, whether in private entrepreneurship and venture investing, civic society, nonprofits, or government? What have you seen that's out there that seems to be getting to the core of the measurement question?
Yeah, we do the measurement in a different way. In social business, for example, we want to create a business to make sure all unemployed young people become entrepreneurs. That's the purpose of the business. We take the unemployed young people, turn them into entrepreneurs. That's the business we run. And we actually run that business in Bangladesh. We create what we call social business venture capital fund, social business venture capital fund, and ask the young people, unemployed young people from rural areas, from urban areas, university graduates, and so on, come up with a business idea. If you have a good business idea, whatever business it is, you can make tons of money out of it, doesn't matter. But come up with a business idea and bring it to us. We see that it's a good idea, we'll invest in your business because our job is to provide you the money. We have the oxygen for you. So we give you the money, then you start the business. So it will be sort of a joint venture business. I'm giving you the investment money and you'll be running the business. And our understanding is, as business becomes successful, you'll return the money that I gave you. If you gave you $1 million to start that business or run that business, ultimately you'll return that $1 million that I gave you. We don't want a share. We are shareholders, but we don't want any profit out of our business. You just return the money that we gave you and the service charge for handling charge that we get, and we get money back. So you become entrepreneur. And I run a social business for myself because my purpose is to solve your problem of unemployment, problem of not being productive. Now you become productive because you created a business and I provided you with the finance. So this is the financing solution as a social business. Now, the question is, how do I run it? How do you measure it? That's the whole question. How do I measure how many young people become entrepreneurs? I count them. Like, very simple thing. In a conventional business where you make profit and you have a CEO of your company and he has to report to the board what he has accomplished this year at the end of the year. He says, we made so much profit. And we are happy that we are board members. We are happy that we made good profit because we measure by profit, how much we made. The more the profit, more happy we are. In our case, we are not interested in the profit. We are interested, we will ask our CEO, social business CEO, how many young people, unemployed young people became entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs? Tell us that. So he will say this year we had 100 entrepreneurs, 100 young people become entrepreneurs for us. They're running good businesses. We said, yeah, that's a good number, but next year, can we double it? So that's our measure with the solution. We look at the solution, not about how these entrepreneurs are tall or short or fat or slim. We don't concern that. We want to see, because that's the purpose of our business. Our purpose of business is to turn young people into entrepreneurs. And our success is how many we're doing it and how many is sticking to that. How many are dropping out from that? Can we do something from the dropouts? They went in, but they dropped out. Something went wrong. So we go back to them, see what is it. Maybe something we did wrong, maybe something he didn't understand or she didn't understand. So we work it together. Can we make it again? Like it's exactly like the microcredit thing we did. In the beginning, he didn't or she didn't know what he did and made wrong thing. So we go back, work with them and made it happen. Suddenly the pandemic comes, they get puzzled. We said, don't be puzzled. This is life. This is what we do. We work together, find a solution. So this is also, so it's not a measurement in terms of amount of money that we make. It's a question of how much of the problem we have solved. If our is a waste management company, as a social business, how much of the waste we have taken care of, turned into good, productive use of that, and those kind of things. So this is how we do that. If it is a water social business, how many people are having clean water because of our company? That's our see. The more we can increase the number of the people, more success of the company. So it's a question of looking at the business, what you want. Otherwise, it's the same. It's the same working hours, same other things, same salary scale, because you have to pay the salary for the people who are working there. So, and promotions, everything is the same. Simply purpose of the business is different. It's not about me. It's not about not making money. It's about solving problems that I'm part of that. Unemployment problem, old age problem, healthcare problem. Healthcare is a major issue. Even in the United States, healthcare is a major issue. We can create a social business healthcare solution. And now we are talking about, I talked about the vaccine and keep repeating, this is the time to create a social business pharmaceutical company so that we are not interested in making money. We're interested in saving life. Then we will not have this vaccine crisis that we created. If one or two of those vaccine company become social business vaccine company, we'll produce everywhere. We'll create all the vaccines people need. It's possible.
Dr. Yunus, I want just one brief answer, if you could, to a question that I think is central to a lot of people are thinking this way. What's the role of women's economic empowerment to everything you've talked about, and in particular, combating climate change? So we don't have much time, and I want to let Jane talk, but please answer that question if you could for me.
Can you repeat, because my sound system
I'm sorry.
went blank.
The question is, what do you think is the role of women's economic empowerment in combating climate change and reaching the 3 zeros?
Everything. Yeah. In entrepreneurship, I've been telling people, look, microcredit has demonstrated globally how good women are as entrepreneurs. And all over the world, we had option to give it to men, give it to women. We gave it to both men and women to begin with. We gradually switched to women because they are better entrepreneurs. They take care of the whole family in a very legitimate way. And when we came to the United States, Gramin America, I was mentioning a little while back, you can check it out in your Googles or whatever, 140,000 borrowers, 100% women, not a single man. Mm-hmm. And that's why that's so wonderful thing. It's amazing stories after stories that you'll hear that Gramin America. It's in your neighborhood someplace. A branch will be somewhere in your neighborhood. So it's not something you don't have to come to Bangladesh to look at it. It's your people that you know every day. They are the people who are doing the the microcredit program and turning their life and their children's life and so on. So women is a key, very creative, very patient, very focused, and they do that. And all they need is the financing. Unfortunately, financial system is designed such a way, they're left out. Like the poor are left out, women are also left out. Women are not considered to be businesswomen and something like that. So we said everything the conventional banks do, we do the opposite. They go to the rich, we go to the poor. They go to urban center, we go to the remotest village. They go to men, we go to women. So we reverse the whole thing. So that's how it has been shown again and again. Now we are creating what we call, I briefly mentioned, we are encouraging to create what we call 3-0 club. I explained what 3-0 is. Now we are encouraging young people to create 3-0 clubs. Only 5 young people, no more, no less, get together, form a 3-0 club. Why? To become familiar with the challenge of 3 zeros, and we tell them, don't listen to anybody who is older than you. They have very wrong ideas. They will mislead you. They have destroyed this whole planet. Don't let them destroy it anymore. You take charge and do exactly what you want to do, no matter what it comes to your mind. You don't have to go through the books, and just a common sense. We want to protect this world. And we don't want to contribute to global warming in any way. Just me as a person, as a club member, I don't want to contribute into global warming. So I say, how am I contributing to global warming? I'm not talking about stop the big companies and so on. How am I doing that? So I will start for me. And how am I contributing to wealth concentration? And I promise in my life, I will not contribute to wealth concentration. That's my promise, because this is going to destroy the planet. And I will be an entrepreneur. That's it. So this is the 3-0 club, and you create the 3-0 war. And if you want something, you have to work for it. You don't want, okay, government will do it for me, or the companies will come. Companies will not give anything to you. You have to work it out. So 3-0 clubs. This is something you can again Google 30 Club. You'll find all the details of it. And please join them, make it happen. You have to take charge of this planet because you have to know that you are in this spaceship art, you are not passengers. You are the pilots. You have to have a flight plan. And 30 Club is to help you create that flight plan so that you know which way you want to go. And you go according to your flight plan because you have to build this flight plan, build new roads to get to the destination that you have. Destination is clear. It will be a 30 world. That's the destination. But you need a flight plan to go there. And 30 Clubs will be working to create that flight plan to make sure. And in there, don't get these older people have a very different kind of idea about the world disturb you. Their minds are already polluted, already contaminated. It will not be any help to you. So you have to rediscover your own way of doing things. As simple as that.
Thank you, Dr. Yunus, for your inspirational message. And everyone, I'm sure, in the audience is joining me at this time with a great thank you message to you. Let me
Thank you.
Thank you. And let me turn it over to Dr. Jane Ayres, who is in charge of the Grameen Bank and Trust Student Internship Program here at GW. Jane?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Hi, Jane.
Yunus, for your very, very interesting talk today. I want to remind everyone that the Elliott School at George Washington University is home to the Grameen Internship Program, and please contact us with any questions about the internship. We're delighted to be a part of the internship program, so thank you.
Great. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Jane. And a few years ago when we were in Nashville, Tennessee, watching an opera performance, Dr. Yunus, it was right before that I asked you a very interesting question, at least from my point of view. I thought I'd let the audience in on your answer. The question was, Dr. Yunus, what do you do for fun? What do you do for fun? Your answer was, I think of new ways to help people. So thank you so much. You have been very, very busy.
Just to add to that, elaborate a little bit. Yes, exactly what it is. We said it in social business, do it with joy. You must have fun. If you're not having fun doing social business, you are not in social business. I said making money may be happiness, but making other people happy is a super happiness. Enjoy that super happiness.
Well, thank you again for your message. And from Washington, D.C., we say goodbye for today.